My girlfriend texted, "I'm having a harmless dinner with my married boss. Don't wait up," I replied. "Have fun." Then I accidentally forwarded the flirtatious texts between them to his wife with the message, "Is this your husband?" The panicked, screaming voicemail I got 10 minutes later. Mandatory disclaimer. Using a throwaway because my main account is known to friends. Also, this happened 5 months ago, but I'm only posting now since all the dust has settled. Legal threats have fizzled out, and I've had time to process everything. It's therapeutic to finally share this story. So I, 29M, had been dating Melissa, 27F, for just under 2 years. We met on Hinge, where her profile proudly stated, "Loyalty above all else." Oh, the irony. Things were mostly good. We had similar interests, the same twisted sense of humor, and compatible life goals. She moved into my apartment about 10 months before our breakup, and it seemed like we were on the path to something permanent. Of course, that's usually when life decides to drop a piano on your head, Wile E. Coyote style. Melissa worked in marketing at a prestigious firm downtown. She'd often talk about her boss, Richard, early 40s, describing him as brilliant but intense. According to her stories, he was this marketing savant who had revolutionized the industry with his innovative strategies. He was also married with 2 kids, a fact that becomes important later. About 6 months ago, I started noticing some changes. Melissa began staying at work later. Her phone would mysteriously flip face down whenever I entered the room. She'd get texts that made her smile in that specific way. You know the one. But when I'd ask what was funny, it was always just work stuff, or nothing important. I'm not the jealous type. Truly, I've always believed that if someone wants to cheat, they'll find a way, and policing their behavior only postpones the inevitable while making you miserable in the process. But I'm also not an idiot. One night, I woke up around 2 a.m. and noticed Melissa wasn't in bed. I found her in the living room, furiously texting someone. When she saw me, she quickly locked her phone. "Work emergency," she explained, not quite meeting my eyes. "At 2 a.m.? I asked. "Richard's on a deadline for the Johnson account. The whole team is online troubleshooting." I nodded and went back to bed, but something felt off. The next morning, I casually asked how the emergency had been resolved. She launched into a detailed explanation about marketing strategies and client expectations that sounded rehearsed, like she'd been preparing it all night. Now, I'm not proud of what I did next, but in my defense, I was right. While she was in the shower, I glanced at her phone. She'd changed her passcode, another red flag, but her notifications were still visible on the lock screen. There was a message from our work that read, "Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about how you..." The rest was cut off, but I didn't need to read more. My stomach dropped through the floor. Over the next few weeks, I paid closer attention. Melissa had started dressing differently for work. More makeup, more revealing clothes. She'd come home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. Twice, she came home with her hair wet, claiming she'd been caught in the rain on perfectly clear days. I could have confronted her immediately, but honestly, I wanted irrefutable proof. Maybe that was my mistake. Or maybe it was the universe setting up the perfect punchline. The breaking point came on a Thursday. Melissa texted me around 5 p.m., having dinner with Richard to discuss my promotion. "Don't wait up. It's totally harmless, just business." That harmless in quotation marks, that unnecessary reassurance, that forced cheeriness. My bullshit detector was screaming. I simply replied, "Have fun." Then I opened our shared iPad, the one she and I both used for Netflix, web browsing, and other apps. She had explicitly given me the password when we first got it, and we had always freely used it together. When I opened it, her work email was already logged in on the browser, not requiring any additional passwords or security bypasses. There it was, weeks of exchanges between her and Richard, growing increasingly personal and explicit. Plans for hotel meetups disguised as off-site strategy sessions. Inside jokes about fooling their respective partners. At one point, he'd sent her a shirtless pic with the caption, "Preview of tonight's presentation," which might be the most cringe-worthy attempt at sexy wordplay I've ever seen. None of the emails were marked confidential or contained any actual work content or company proprietary information, just personal communications about their affair using the company email system. But the most damning email was their dinner plans for that evening. It wasn't about a promotion at all. They'd booked a private dining room at an upscale restaurant, followed by a reservation at a boutique hotel downtown. He'd even arranged for a car service to take her home in the morning so she wouldn't have to do the walk of shame on public transit like last time. I sat there staring at the iPad, feeling strangely calm. Not because I wasn't hurt, I was, but because in that moment, everything became crystal clear. 2 years of my life were based on a lie, and now I had a choice. Go out in a blaze of glory or slink away quietly. I've never been the quiet type. After a quick Google search, I found Richard's wife, Christine, on Facebook. Her profile was mostly private, but her contact information was visible because she ran a small bakery business. I took screenshots of everything, created a new email account to avoid any potential blowback to my personal email, and compiled the evidence. Then I crafted a simple message. Is this your husband? I think you should know what he's doing tonight. I'm sorry to be the one telling you this. I attached the screenshots showing their dinner and hotel plans, plus a few choice excerpts from their conversations where they explicitly discussed their affair and how they were deceiving their partners. I made sure no screenshots included anything that could be considered intimate or explicit images, just text conversations and hotel bookings. I also carefully excluded any business-related information or communications that could be considered company confidential. Before hitting send, I hesitated. Was I doing this out of vengeance? Yes, absolutely. Was I potentially blowing up not just my relationship, but someone's marriage? Also yes. But then I remembered, I didn't cause this situation. They did. And if I were in Christine's position, I'd want to know. I hit send, then muted my phone and started packing Melissa's things. Exactly 17 minutes later, I know because I was watching the clock, my phone started blowing up. First with texts, then calls. I let them go to voicemail. Finally, I listened to one from Melissa. What the fuck did you do? She screamed, her voice shaking with panic. Richard's wife just showed up at the restaurant. She threw a glass of ice water in my face and called me a home-wrecking whore in front of everyone. He's blaming me, saying I set him up. Call me back right fucking now. I didn't. Instead, I continued methodically sorting her belongings into boxes. Clothes in one, toiletries in another, miscellaneous items in a third. I was just taping up the last box when I heard a key in the lock. Melissa burst in, mascara streaking down her face, looking like she'd been through a hurricane. Her hair was wet again, but this time I knew it really was from having a drink thrown on her. What did you do? She demanded, her voice now eerily quiet. I helped someone make an informed decision about their life, I replied calmly. The same courtesy I wish someone had extended to me. You had no right to involve Christine in this. This could ruin Richard's career, his marriage. I laughed. I couldn't help it. Funny how you're more concerned about his marriage than ours. We're not married, she snapped. No, I agreed. And now we never will be. Your stuff is packed. You can take it now, or come back tomorrow when I'm at work. Either way, I need you to be out by the weekend. You can't just throw me out. I live here too. I have tenant rights. Actually, in Massachusetts where we live, since you've been here for only 10 months, aren't on the lease, have never paid rent, and we have no written agreement, you're legally classified as a licensee or guest, not a tenant. I've already consulted with a lawyer who confirmed this. I'm giving you reasonable time to collect your belongings and find alternative arrangements, which is legally appropriate. Her face contorted with rage. You'll regret this. Richard knows people. I know people. Is that a threat? Because threatening someone isn't going to help your situation. I had initially thought about bluffing about recording, but decided against it since Massachusetts is a two-party consent state for recordings. She deflated slightly, then switched tactics. Baby, I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical. You and I have something real. Had, I corrected. We had something real. Past tense. What followed was the standard breakup meltdown. Crying, pleading, anger, more threats, more tears. I stood my ground and eventually she left with just an overnight bag, promising to return for the rest of her things. After she left, I contacted my landlord to explain the situation. He was surprisingly understanding and advised me that, while changing the locks immediately might be legally questionable, he would authorize it if I agreed to let Melissa retrieve her belongings at an arranged time. We agreed that having him present during the retrieval would be best to avoid any further conflict. He also confirmed that based on the details of our living arrangement, she would likely be considered a licensee rather than a tenant under Massachusetts law. The next day, I took a personal day from work and waited for the fallout. It didn't take long. Around 10 a.m., I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was Richard. "You've made a huge mistake," he said, trying to sound menacing, but mostly sounding tired. "I could sue you for defamation, for invasion of privacy, for showing your wife evidence of an affair you were actually having. Good luck with that." "Truth is an absolute defense against defamation," I replied. "Thank you. Single law class I took in college." "You access private communications illegally?" "I accessed an iPad that I own, that's registered in my name, where Melissa voluntarily left her email open on a shared device that she knew I regularly used. I didn't hack anything or bypass any security measures. Nothing illegal about that." He was silent for a moment. "What do you want? Money?" I laughed again. "I don't want anything from you, Richard. I just wanted the truth out there. What happens next is between you and your wife, and me and Melissa? We're done. So we really have nothing more to discuss." I hung up and blocked his number. Later that day, Melissa's best friend showed up to collect her things. Apparently, Melissa was staying with her and was too devastated to face me. Fine by me. I helped load everything into the friend's SUV, with my landlord present as agreed. As she was about to leave, the friend paused. "You know, I told her not to do it. I told her Richard was bad news." "Then why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She looked down. "Girl code, I guess? I don't know. I'm sorry." I nodded. "Yeah, me too." The aftermath was both better and worse than I expected. Melissa tried calling from different numbers for weeks before finally giving up. According to mutual friends, she and Richard were both fired from their jobs, not officially for the affair, but for violating the company's strict fraternization policy that prohibited relationships between managers and their direct reports. HR apparently explained it created a liability issue for the company and a potential conflict of interest, particularly regarding her recent promotion discussions. Richard's wife filed for divorce. I know this because she actually reached out to me about a month after everything went down, asking if I'd be willing to share the original screenshots as evidence. I provided her with the files along with a sworn affidavit explaining exactly how I obtained them, when they were accessed, and confirming their authenticity. Her lawyer said this would help address any questions about the provenance of the evidence. She sent me a gift basket from her bakery in return. Best damn muffins I've ever had. I later learned from Christine that Richard's lawyer had advised him against pursuing any legal action against me, as it would only result in the evidence becoming part of the public record and potentially being reported in local media, which would further damage his professional reputation. As for me, I'm doing okay. The apartment feels emptier, but also cleaner somehow. Like I've cleared out more than just Melissa's physical presence. I've been on a few dates, nothing serious. I'm taking my time. The strangest part is how many people, including some of Melissa's friends, have told me they admire how I handled things. Apparently, being direct and exposing liars is unusual enough to be praiseworthy these days. What a world. So that's my story. Not sure what the moral is. Don't cheat. Don't leave incriminating emails on shared devices. Don't date marketing executives with God complexes. Maybe just, life is too short to be someone's backup plan. Edit 1. Since so many people are asking, yes, I did check with a lawyer before taking any significant actions to make sure I wasn't doing anything illegal. The verdict was that I was in the clear because, 1. I didn't hack anything or bypass security measures. I accessed an iPad I legally own where she had stayed logged in on a device we both regularly used. 2. I didn't share any intimate, explicit images or confidential company information, just text conversations about their plans and the affair itself. And 3. Everything I shared was factually true, which protects against defamation claims. Edit 2. To the people suggesting I should have just broken up with her without causing drama, would you really want to remain ignorant if your spouse was cheating? Christine deserved to know what kind of man she was married to. And frankly, after 2 years together, I deserved better than being lied to while they laughed about it in their texts. Edit 3. I'm seeing lots of comments about tenant laws. To clarify, I consulted with my lawyer specifically about Massachusetts residency laws before taking action. Since Melissa never paid rent, never signed a lease, and had lived there for less than a year, 10 months to be exact, she was legally considered a licensee or guest, not a tenant. Different states have different laws, so don't take this as universal advice. Also, I worked with my landlord to ensure she could retrieve her belongings safely, and she had another place to go, so it was handled appropriately. Update 5 months later. Wow, I didn't expect this post to get so much attention. Thanks for all the support and awards. Since many have asked for an update, here's where things stand now. Melissa eventually stopped trying to contact me after about 2 months. According to mutual friends, she moved to another city for a fresh start. She did send me one final email that was surprisingly reflective. She admitted that what she did was wrong, and that she'd been going to therapy to understand why she self-sabotaged a good relationship. I wished her well, but made it clear that reconciliation wasn't on the table. Richard and Christine's divorce was finalized last month. Christine and I have kept in casual contact, nothing romantic, just friendly check-ins. Our shared experience of betrayal created an unusual bond, and we occasionally meet for coffee to talk about our respective healing processes. She's reopened her bakery after a brief hiatus and seems to be doing well. She told me that Richard tried to claim the affair was a one-time lapse in judgment, but the emails I provided proved otherwise. He ended up with a much less favorable settlement than he would have if he'd just been honest. As for me, I've been seeing someone new for about 2 months. She's wonderful, and I've been completely upfront about my past relationship trauma. The best part? She gave me her iPad password on our 3rd date and said, "Just so you know, I have nothing to hide." We laughed, but the gesture meant a lot. Oh, and I bought a new iPad. The old one had too many negative associations, so I donated it to a local school after completely wiping it. The most unexpected outcome of all this? 3 of my friends have discovered their partners were cheating after my story made them pay closer attention to warning signs they'd been ignoring. Sometimes one person standing up causes a domino effect. I still occasionally get a phantom feeling of anxiety when my phone buzzes with a text, expecting it to be Melissa or Richard with some new drama. But those moments are getting rarer. Life moves on, and it turns out it moves toward better things when you refuse to accept less than you deserve. Final edit. A commenter asked what happened to the girl code best friend. She and I still talk occasionally. She apologized again, more sincerely, a few weeks after everything went down. She admitted she'd enabled Melissa's behavior by keeping her secret and recognized that true friendship sometimes means calling people out on their BS. We got drinks last month and she seems to be doing some real self-reflection.